The thought of death, actually.
I know that's right. I'm giving
Because my food habits had gotten me to 220 pounds with a 5'8" frame, and that was not pretty by unanimous consent. And it wasn't that; it was the fact that I had asthma, I had hypertension, and then when I was diagnosed with diabetes, that's what really shook me up, and I realized I had to do something. I saw my father die. I didn't want to die like that, piece by piece. So I said I better find another way. Fortunately, I was able to, because once I learned what I learned, I was able to reverse. I don't like the word cure for many reasons. But
it can always come back. If you start eating a certain way, it's going to come back.
Because I knew, because I had seen my father die from diabetes. He was trying to hide his tears from me, and I was trying to hide my tears from him. It was that bad. So I knew I had to do something. So I started reading, talking to various doctors and holistic people, and eventually found out that the key was going to be getting rid of the acid in my body, because the diet you eat is the diet that destroys you if you're eating the wrong food.
You distanced yourself from the whole.
And instead of following along with the doctor's orders and taking pills, which I have to take the rest of my life, I decided to see if there's any alternative. And sure enough, I was able to find, through the help of reading and talking and meeting different people, to find out that diabetes was actually reversible. And so I started on a journey. It took me 4 months. I was able to completely reverse my diabetes, changing my lifestyle, changing my diet, and discovering this water, alkaline water.
Oh, man.
See, the key is that your body belongs to be alkaline. That's the way we're born. That's our natural state. 15 years earlier, and it's a horrible, you're dying, you're rotting from the inside, you're dying piece by piece. You know, first they took off his toes on his right foot, then they took the foot off, then they cut the leg just below the knee, and it was horrible, you know, seeing him. Your father, he's your rock, he's the man with the belt.
Exactly,
you don't mess with your father. And to see him reduced to maybe 120 pounds, one leg, wheelchair, that was tough. Donuts, chicken. All of these places are serving essentially food that is killing us.
Wow.
And as you look around the community, you can see that there's a lot of that going on. With all the people with amputated legs, and wheelchairs, on crutches. So it's a real crisis in the community. And I know you see it too from your vantage point.
Absolutely, Phil. There's death all around us. As he mentioned, some of the places that we eat at, and right in front of us there's a Chinese takeout. But I became involved with healthy cooking as a young girl. My mother, she gardened her own food. She taught me how to cook at a very young age, and we never ate fast food. Even though she worked outside the home, there was always a home-cooked meal when we came in from school.
Just like you taking poison and expecting the other person to die. And that is true. That is very, very true. Because when you get into negative emotions, your body starts secreting cortisol, which is an acidic stress hormone. So again, that's another source of stress. Your thoughts, your worries, your anger, the negative emotions. Now, in our house and on our person, a large source of problems is the EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. What's really disturbing is going into the supermarket and going to the produce section and coming to the checkout counter with a basket full of vegetables. more than likely, the cashier is going to say, what is this? What is this? And call somebody over because they don't know what the vegetables are. They've never seen them in their natural state. And one girl even said, and what is this? And she was pointing to the collard greens. I said, now come on now. I said, you never went to your aunt's on Sunday for Sunday dinner with collard greens and chicken? These are collard greens.
Wow.
I mean, that's how far we've been removed from food. And what we're eating now is basically industrial toxins. See, these processed foods were made in a plant, but not by a plant. And that's the difference. That's the difference. I think $1 is a reasonable price. And you need 2 quarts of water to meet your mineral needs according to nutritionists, or half your body weight. So, in that case, you're going to need probably about 4 of those dollar bottles if they're the 16.9 ounces. So that's $4 a day. That's about $120 a month, and that's $1,440 per year. Now, the question is, how long are you going to be drinking bottled water? Usually that's the rest of your life. Okay, so let's look at 10 years. 10 years, that's $14,000. 20 years, that's $28,000. It's more, it's about $30,000. Okay. But, you know, people don't notice that. You know, you need a bottle of water, so you take out a bill and give it to them, and you don't think about it. But now, if you stop and look, you're paying a pretty penny, and you're not really getting what you paid for, or what you hoped you would buy, which was fresh, clean drinking water. See, the drinking water, most of it is unregulated, or it's regulated by the FDA. Tap water is regulated by the EPA, and they're totally different standards. For instance, if there's any hint of fecal matter in tap water, what do they tell you? There's a big storm, there's fecal matter in the water, they say, boil your water. The FDA, on the other hand, they have a tolerable limit for fecal matter in the water. Okay. And there are a lot of differences. I'm not going to go through that, but basically, Dolores was drinking special alkaline water, and that's, she says, $25 per case. And how many cases do you buy during the month? Okay. All right, so that's about $75 to $100 a month. If you compare that with the cost of your own water ionizer that produces the most superior, healthy water in the world, they start at $15 a month when they're financed. Okay, so at a cost of from $1,500 to $5,000, a monthly cost of $15 to $50 per month financed. So you see, after a few years, your ionizer is fully paid off. So you've got no more cost after that point. And even from day one, in a lot of cases, like in your case, you're saving money. Even if you're paying $50 a month for your ionizer, it's less than $120. So this is the cheapest, most healthy source of water that you can get. He's a real genius. He had a degree in agriculture. He was a veterinarian, and he was also a medical doctor. So he saw things from many different angles. And he said that vitamin C and a lot of diseases that we have as humans have been cured in animals. And he said the reason that was is because animals don't have health insurance. So it doesn't make sense to go back and treat that same pig 15 times. And plus you'd be fired because they'd say, well, you don't know what you're doing. So all diseases have been cured. So he did a study, and his study showed that the average doctor, MD, lived 58 years. So you can imagine when he released that study, they went nuts. Are you crazy? 58 years. You know, we're the doctors, we've been to school, we're the practice, we're the experts, blah, blah, blah. Okay, he said, we're going to do our own study. And they got a foundation to give them money to do this study. So 3 years later, they came out with the results and said, Dr. Wallach was wrong. We knew he was wrong. Our life expectancy is 56 years. So there. And that's the average lifespan of your average MD. And we are going to him or her for help. Many of them die of the same diseases that they are specialists. Cardiologists dying of congestive heart failure. So, you know, this is what you're up against. Today's supermarkets, right? And there's something like 80,000 different foods you can purchase there. Now the supermarkets are supersized, and to my knowledge, no new food animals have been discovered. There are no new plants. They just take the same old plants, soy, wheat, and corn, and process them with chemicals, flavorings, colorings to make them look different. And so they can advertise, well, I think sugar corn pops is one of the first of the non-foods. There's sugar corn pops, you know, there's wheat checks, and, you know, it's ridiculous. You go to the soup counter, the soup section, there must be 50 different types and brands of soup. Crackers. So, and now it's all coming home to roost, and particularly in the last 30 years, we've had GMOs. GMOs have been introduced since the 1990s, and we can see the result. You know, the dramatic increase in all types of chronic diseases, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and they're all food related. Alkaline lifestyle. The alkaline lifestyle is brought on not just by food, but by water. Alkaline water. And there are degrees of alkaline water which we'll get into a bit. But also, anytime that you are at rest, at peace, your body goes into what's known as the parasympathetic nervous system, and that secretes alkaline hormones in your body, increases your alkalinity. So anytime you watch a beautiful picture, listen to beautiful music, take a peaceful stroll on the beach, etc., your body is alkaline. Certainly when you pray, when you meditate, when you do yoga, get a massage, your body is in its alkaline state. Now, one of the things that interrupts that state is emotions, is thought. When I was in 7th grade, I had a music teacher who was very, very smart, because he said, children, don't get angry at somebody. He said, because all you're doing is you're giving them a piece of your brain. Your anger is damaging you. It's just like you taking poison and expecting the other person to die. And that is true. That is very, very true. Because when you get into negative emotions, your body starts secreting cortisol, which is an acidic stress hormone. So again, that's another source of stress. Your thoughts, your worries, your anger, the negative emotions. Now, in our house and on our person, a large source of problems is the EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. We're talking about cell phones, microwaves, radio antennas, and there are studies that do show that cell phones do lead to cancer, but they're being fought every step of the way. But gradually they are becoming more and more well known. And
in actuality, we really shouldn't have Wi-Fi in our homes because of the strength of those EMFs. So I know it's very inconvenient, but you should go back to the old wired. Remember the wires that plug in the back of the computer and in the wall instead of having Wi-Fi. But there's a way to protect yourself from those EMFs, and it's called grounding. You see, the Earth is a super, super powerful magnet, and it attracts electrons. And electrons are antioxidants. So the Earth is a huge magnet. It has electrons. When you walk on the Earth barefoot, when you sit on the Earth, when you lay on the Earth, your body is absorbing some of those excess electrons. And when that's happening, that puts like a force field, like in the old space movies, a force field around your body, and it blocks any EMFs. So every night, my wife and I sleep on a sheet that's made with conductive silver fibers, and that sheet is plugged into the wall, into the electrical socket. Now it's not plugged into the electricity, but you know there's another prong, a third prong. That prong is called the ground. Okay, ground. That's key. So where do you think it's connected to?
To the house.
Where is the ground connected to? You plugged it, but where is that?
The earth. The earth.
Right. Okay. So.
The ground.
Right. So the electrons from the Earth now are coming up that wire. It's a conductor. Okay. In through the cord, into the sheet. So we are being protected by this force field of electrons. I know it sounds wild. But look up.
It sounds awesome.
It does, yes. It actually fights inflammation. Okay, like they've done thermograms, like of an athlete, of a runner who just completed a marathon. And so the thermogram will show you a colored picture of the limb, and you'll see that the inflamed part is all red. You plug them into a ground in 20 minutes, it actually changes color to blue. It's no longer inflamed. So it does a lot, but if you want to look up grounding, either grounding or earthing. Those are the two names given to this phenomenon. Okay, and we have people who meditate and pray. That's all good. That all helps with the alkalization of your body. Yes, sir.
When you go grounding, it's best to do like in the grass, right?
Well, that's what you're doing then is to do it naturally. Because all these millions of years we sat on the grass, we laid on the grass, so we were always getting grounded. But yes, just walk on the earth, you know, with no shoes, walk in the surf by the water, and you're getting those natural electrons.
So like walking on concrete, you wouldn't get that.
No, because it blocks it. I mean, there's certain types of concrete that are conductive and certain that are not. It's best just to walk on there. One thing in particular that always stuck with me, the old timers talking about when kids, you know, toddlers used to get sick, what they'd do is they'd go out in the field, dig a hole, put the baby in it up to his neck, and for the next 2 or 3 days, they feed the baby, they visit the baby, give him water, and then dig him up, and he'd be healed. And they say he was healed by Mother Earth. And now, you know, I can understand. I mean, we have so much knowledge, you know, we have the original knowledge, and yet they have the audacity to tell us that we are studying or we are providing alternative medicine. No, theirs is the alternative medicine, not ours. 80, something like 80% of the world lives on traditional medicine. Any questions? Any other questions?
When women are bloated, is that form of inflammation?
Is what?
When women are bloated, is that form of inflammation?
It could be if the lymph ducts become inflamed, so the lymph fluid can't travel freely. It gets trapped in the lower limbs. Okay, I can't believe this has eaten all of my pictures. I had a wonderful picture there. I don't know what happened. When I was 66 years old, I was 220 pounds, 42-inch waist, high blood pressure, lifelong asthma, on 4 prescription drugs, and newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic. Not a pretty sight, I guarantee you. I don't know what happened to that picture, it would be more graphic. But at the time, 66, I figured, well, just getting older, right? That's what happens with age. When they told me I had diabetes, that got my attention. Because I'd seen my father die from diabetes. And you don't wish that on anyone. It's so terrible. You're rotting from the inside. You're dying piece by piece. So ended up, he was in his wheelchair. He was 112 pounds. And this was your dad, your rock. The big man, the man with the belt. And there he was in a wheelchair. And he died shortly thereafter of a heart attack. And 80% of diabetics die from heart attacks.
Face the facts and say that something like 3/4 of all diseases, chronic diseases, are diet related.
Wow. 3/4. Wow.
3/4, that's right.
So
That's Dr. C. Everett Koop. He was one of the last Surgeon Generals. He was the fellow all in white during the Clinton administration. Yeah, because of his numbers.
wow. So what do you think? What can really help us change to eating more healthy and becoming more holistic?
Well, I think there's a group that is in the forefront of changing this, and these are the Muslims. The Muslims have been eating right, and they've been preaching healthy eating. As a matter of fact, in my class Monday, there's a fellow there older than I. He's like 79 years old. And he said that he's been a vegetarian since the 1940s because he read this book called Eat to Live. And that's Elijah Muhammad's.
Absolutely. How to eat to live.
How to eat to live, right.
Wow.
So they've always been in the forefront. And now, thanks to Sister Teresa and her friends, we're joining forces and we're spreading the word about how to eat to live.
And that's something that, so everybody will find something that they can really get into. Now, this is a machine that makes that alkaline water. Now, more and more people are hearing about alkaline water, is that right? All alkaline water is not the same. They'd have you believe it is. But this water, the water that this machine makes, was first discovered by the Japanese. They were doing a research project into longevity, and they wanted to see how these people who lived high in the mountains could live so long. So they brought the team up there, they checked out the food, they checked out the environment. The last thing they were going to look at was the creek, because the creek was not clear and bubbly, water, sparkling. It was like kind of cloudy, not muddy, but cloudy. Finally, they couldn't find any other thing to test, so they tested the water, and they were blown away. The water had a high pH, it's 9.5. The water was a very powerful antioxidant. They couldn't believe the strength it had in this antioxidant. So they said, wow, this is it. This is it. We've discovered the secret. So they quickly took the water back to Tokyo. They were going to analyze it, make a drug out of it, or whatever. But they found out that the water had reverted to just regular water. It no longer had those properties. So I said, well, something we messed up somehow. They went back, they got more, came back, same result, they did it again. And finally it dawned on them, well, this water is alive. Something is going on in this water. It doesn't last that long, but it heals people. And their further research, see, these people live so high, you could see the snow-capped mountains, the glaciers in the distance. They found out that, you know, we've all seen the nature movies, the Arctic, the heavy snow. Well, that snow, when it falls on the glacier, that's not the snow that melts next spring. As a matter of fact, it could take 1,000 years for the freshly fallen snow to work its way through the pack and to melt. Now, while it's trapped, it's being worked on by fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field, sunspots, cosmic rays, so it's ionized. Believe it or not, ice has an electrical charge. So the water has an electrical charge. It's ionized. And it was that water that they were drinking, and it gave them, you know, the people normally live to, you know, like 95, 100, 110, very little disease, etc. But if you went 20 miles further down that creek, the water was clear. Because what they didn't know was that when the water was ionized, it put off hydrogen gas. And hydrogen gas was trapped in the water just like carbon dioxide is trapped in the soda. But if you expose it to light, to air, to jostling, it evaporates. So that's why it was no longer effective. So the Japanese, being good technicians, said, well, we're going to try to duplicate this water. And they were successful. Because what they did, they found if they shocked the water with electricity through ordinary tap water, it acquired those same characteristics. High pH, tremendous, we call it ORP, oxidation reduction potential. That is the ability to stop oxidation. So for the last 40 years, they've used this water in their hotels, their clinics, their old folks' homes, and now in the last probably 15 years, they finally got the units small enough and less costly so that they can be bought for people's homes.
Most of the diseases that we suffer with have been cured in animals. The difference, animals don't have health insurance. So it doesn't make sense for the doctor to just keep treating the symptoms and not curing the disease of the animals. The animals have to be healthy, have to be sold, and if you don't cure that cow's sickness, you, the veterinarian, are going to be fired. So you better cure the animal. Now with humans, it's the exact opposite. Here, the emphasis is on managing the disease, dragging it out, keep them going, keep them taking medicine as long as possible, keep them coming back to the doctor. The doctor says, here, here's a new prescription, see me in 3 months. So every 3 months, he's got a guaranteed cash flow. So I've heard it said, and I believe it, cures kill profits. So don't expect to see any cures coming out of mainstream medicine.
We're bringing it to our people, you know?
Yeah, that's what we had to do. We know already.
Right.
Spread the word.
Take it to the next level.
Yes, yes.
Of course, now with Facebook Live and everything, there's no reason you're not, like, you are international now, but even more so.
Yeah. I mean, it's all over the place. You could drop a video and it could become viral and other people share it, especially if it adds up to what they're into. And everybody needs help. Economics.
Health as well.
Yeah, health as well. Yeah.
Sometimes they don't know that they're into it because they just haven't been introduced to the power of living good, eating good, like you said, increasing your income. Some of us aren't exposed to that lifestyle, so we don't know about it, we don't think about it.
Right.
But it's a good thing, you know, to embrace it and to share it.
Well, we know that we gotta eat, so we
there it is.
eat to live.
Right.
There it is.
Can't eat for free.
Right.
That's what my mom told me. That's nice, though. I'm glad y'all getting more in depth. Getting ready for next month, or is it this month?
Yes,
End of this month.
23rd.
23rd. All right, well, we'll have more people out there. Yeah, I think it was a nice turnout last time. Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
About 20 something people.
Yeah. It's effective.
Very effective.
All right, Rick Ross Productions.